Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all audience that attend to see this forum. Our discussion topic today is e-sport, playing into the future. Electronic sports or e-sport are professional organized video games competition. E-sports is short or for electronic sports. It is a form of competition where professional gamers square off either in teams or individually. Competitions take place in multiplayer setting and there are typical cash prize award at the end of tournaments. In 2019, the esports market will have surpassed the billion marks. Nearly half of that revenue comes from sponsor from big name brands such as Red Bull. So before diving deeper into this topic is very interesting. And for discussing this topic, I would like to introduce our panelists for today. With us today is AMIRUL HUSNI, our professional esport team coach. Good morning, Mister.
Good morning, Mr. Faris. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Mister. Next panel for today, I welcome Ma'am Izzati Abdullah, Chief Economic Advisor. Morning, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. About today's forum, really excited to share my opinion and to the panelists and of course not to forget our audience here.
Great, ma'am. All right. Our third panelist for today, Dr. Aiman Ashraf. How are you, doctor?
I'm fine, by the way. Good morning. I'm very pleasure and looking forward to. With this forum. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. And last but not least, let me introduce our last panel is Madam AMIRAH Tahir, Sports School Principal. Good morning, Madam.
Good morning. How are you, Mr. Moderator?
I'm fine, thank you. Without further ado, I would like to welcome to all panelists for joining our forum today. I would like to ask Mr. Amirul, as a professional esport coach, what are the definition of esport and how it all began? The screen is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning I bid to moderator and panelists as well as the audience. So thank you for Mr. Moderator for the question. As we know, today we will talk about esport and the themes of today forum is playing into the future. So today I want to answer to main big question about esport. The first one is what is esport and history and background. The second question is gaming can become a career and what other opportunity is there? So back to the first question, what is esport? Esport commonly refer to a competitive, professional and amateur video gaming that is often coordinated by different league, ladders and tournaments, and where players customarily belong to teams or other sporting organizations which are sponsored by various business organizations. Esports are commonly organized around specific genre of game, such as multiplayer online battle arenas, first-person shooter, real-time strategy, collectible card games, or sport games. In history, the first esport tournament is believed held in 70s, while the first esport league were founded in the end of 1990s. For example, the first ever esport tournament was held by the Artificial Intelligence Laboratory at Stanford University on October 19, 1972. And the name of this tournament is Intergalactic Space War. As many know, the current esports scene has become a big industry and it is still growing with many tournaments held every year, locally as well internationally. Esports also has begun to rise in popularity in our country, Malaysia, with the emergence of mobile games that can be played on your phone. The example of international esport tournament is ESL 1, ESL Inter Extreme Master, League of Legends Championship Series, League of Legends World Championship, and the international. For the local tournament as well, we have the latest popular esport league in Malaysia, such as PUBG Mobile Pro League and MMBB Pro League. Before I go to second question in my point today, I would like to ask our chief advisor, economic advisor, Madam Izzati, what your opinion about esport has a better prospect in economic prospect perspective?
Yes, of course, Mr. AMIRUL. I think there's a lot of better prospect in this electronic games. In terms of job opportunities, you can be professional players in a lot of games. You can be a full-time streamers, ambassadors, and would like to emphasize that prize money on each game that will be contested will increase every year to attract the attention of public. Thank you.
Thank you to Madam Izzati. Uh, yes, like what Madam Izzati know, gaming can become a career and can offer many other opportunity. As we know, gaming as a career is always a viable choice, but there is also plenty job in the gaming market in various fields, and it open many job or employment opportunity to people out there. Career in esport is not only the playing game itself. Most people think the only career in esport is professional gaming. Contrary to that, there are jobs in management, operation, sale and event planning, coaching, as well as travel agent and even social media coordinating. So, as my lastly, what I want to say is, for many people out there and audience that start have passion or want to know about more about sport and its opportunity of career, you can go online and search many more. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amirul. I believe that gaming is as a career was always a valuable choice. Esports are commonly organized around specific genres of games. In fact, esports is all was not only in playing the game itself. All right, Ma'am Zati. As we all know, the author had mentioned about with the younger generation inspired to pursue careers in gaming. You can expect that market to become more, and more competitive. So, since you are economic advisor, I would like to ask, how does sport contribute to the Malaysia economic growth? The screen is yours.
Thank you for the question, Faris. As a chief economic advisor, I've done a lot of research, a lot of statistics, advising here and there in the world of money. I can see that right now, esport is a global phenomenon that has emerged from the gaming industry and played a role as a new major contributor to the Malaysian economy. And this industry is expected to grow exponentially in the coming years. With the advancement of science and technology, video game industry began to boom and has become an essential component of the economy in various countries. So let's discuss how sport contribute to our economy. From my opinion, these electronic sports give positive impact on the future of our country as they fill the economy in better directions. 10 years ago, only a few people believed that playing video games as a competitive professional sport could become a billion ringgit industry. But on the other hand, within just one decade, the esports industry has grown tremendously and is expected to make more than a billion Malaysian ringgit in revenue in 2019. From this evidence, I can see that our Malaysian government has recognized the potential of esports and is investing heavily to encourage more in its development. An article published by PICOM in the last 2 years said that Sheikh Sadiq, who is a minister of youth and sports, said that esports play the role as an economic generator. By hosting one of the biggest esports tournaments for Dota 2 in the last 3 years, we have showed to the world that Malaysia is serious about esports. By that time, the expensive tickets were sold out and purchased by majority of overseas buyers. We can describe this phenomenon as a boon for our local economies because it causes the inflow of foreign currency to increase and at the same time it encourages the development of the tourism sector. I'm very confident in my opinion because worldwide and some 300 million people attended esport events in the past year just to cheer and rooting for champions in games. And in fact, winning an esport tournament can make participants up to more than 1,000 ringgit Malaysian. And this expensive prize money is what makes our younger generation love to try their lucks in this industry. Besides, many sport teams across the nation generate a majority of their revenue through sponsorships and advertisement deals. This is not only provide these companies with nationwide recognition, but also allows them to invest more into their teams. For example, in Malaysia, we have our legendary Team Secret, which was sponsored by Maxis. Although esport is ridiculously small compared to the sports sector, esport groups additionally make cash through content creation on variety of major social gaming platforms consisting of YouTube, Facebook gaming, and Twitch. Whilst this industry is creating wider employment opportunities to reduce the unemployment rate in our country, such as esports team manager, coach, commentators, and of course, professional gamers. Next, the prize money in esports is also increasing at an incredible rate that comes from the support and investment by government and private sectors. A strategic plan for esport development 2020 until 2025, published by Ministry of Youth and Sports, state that in the tabling of 2019 annual budget, the Ministry of Finance laid down 10 million Malaysian ringgit to be invested in the development of esports. It was the first ever annual budget announcement in Southeast Asia. Yes, Arman, do you have any questions?
Well, Ms. Izzati, I'd like to ask you, is it not a waste if the government invests lots of money on the things that will cause our younger generation full of health problem, if you may?
Thank you, Emma, for your question. If you want my honest opinion, I must admit that your point is true, but this is why our Ministry of Youth and Sports create a strategic plan for this industry. The creation of this strategic plan for esports development aims to bring legitimacy to the esport industry. For example, Windows Plan it contains strategies on how to create a responsible gamers and esport ethics, athlete duties and welfare, guidelines, and many more. And I think it is very hard if you want to be an esports athlete, as you really got to be dedicated. You really have to think about it as a profession, and that's mean you got to eat right, you got to sleep right, you have to train right, you got to have a good mental health. And even when you do all of those things, it's not a guarantee to become a professional esport athlete. But let's get back to my last opinion. Last but not least, since esport will become greater predominant and conventional worldwide in the future, player wage will also expand significantly. Another article published in the World Economic Forum 2019 it states that Kuro Takasumi, who is a German professional Dota 2 player, is one of the highest earning esport player and has earned almost 3.5 million, which is equivalent to 15 million Malaysian ringgit to date. To sum up, undeniably, esport industry has become one of the most promising industry in the world and in the future. This industry will enjoy a bigger room for growth and will play a pivotal role in microeconomic growth. That's all for me. Thank you.
Amazing, Ma'am Izzati. I can understand that this type of industry is creating a wider employment opportunity to reduce the unemployment rate in our country. And also, I'm pretty sure most of younger generation, especially in our country, Malaysia, love to involve in this kind of in this kind of sport or digital electronic games. All right, Thomas Fuller captured it succinctly when he said, "Health is not valued until sickness comes." Dr. Ayman Ashraf, 16 years old Fortnite players, had spent his 10 hours per day every week to practicing and the studying the game. What are the impact of the esport on health? Screen is yours.
Right, thank you, Mr. Moore and Mr. Faris. So, uh, of course, our first two panelists has told us about the definition of esports and its opportunity to pursue a career in esports. But we must know that esport has its own influence on a person's physical and mental health. I mean, esports is affecting people's health. A person can be addicted to their electronic games. Thus, these esport excessive play also can affect someone both physically and mentally. When people tend to spend hours in front of their personal computer or phone just to play esport, you know, the game of Mobile Legends, PUBG, and so on, and sometimes they don't even have time neither to rest nor to eat. And this case of scenario will lead to a lot of health problems. Based on industrial psychiatry journal that published by a publication of the Association of Industrial Psychiatry of India, the result indicated that esports and its competitive nature led to a physical and psychological problems. The writer Tamil Selvan Palanichami, Manoj Kumar, Maya Sahu, and DM Kanchana also stated The physical issues include eye fatigue, blurry vision, low back pain, tension headache, wrist pain, hand pain, and a poor posture while gaming. This is a very dangerous thing to our younger generation if they spend too much time in front of their gadget to play esports. And it is very important for us to know that too much of electronic exposure will result into mental health problems too. Psychological issues include anxiety, apathy, sleep disturbances, mental distress, distress in social life, and emotional disturbances. I would like to highlight that the studies also found that long hours of online gaming were associated with the presence of depression, and social phobia, and phobic anxiety. People will tend to feel stressed, anxiety, or even with depression if they spend too much of times in front of their gadget to play esports. This is a very dangerous situation for our younger generations. My second point of view is esport also will give an impact on people's behavior psychologically. Esport led a person to become aggressive in their daily behavior. Person can get angry easily and have no patience. Based on the journal, also, they stated that esport has its own impact towards people's psychological behavior, such as uncooperative attitude, tense, aggressive affect, and behaviors. Esport also gives obsession compulsion, interpersonal sensitivity, hostility, paranoid ideation, psychotism, attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, and the worst one is, of course, the gaming addiction. All these psychological behavior problems will surely affect them in their other daily routine. And if this obsession behavior of esport keeps going, I think it will give a lot of impacts on not just their work and of course their relationship or even their career if they have another career besides esports. So I think this is a very dangerous situation and must be highlighted towards all of our audience and all the society out there that esports also has its own influence towards our health. I think that's all from my point of view. Thank you, Mr. Back to you, Mr. Moderator.
Such a great point, Dr. Aiman. Yes, I very very agree with your point. I mean your speech about the effects of playing the games. I mean, players tend to play more because of the enjoyment. It will isolate you from your family and friends for many hours. In fact, if you got addicted, it will take awful hours of just playing. You will never realize that you are wasting your time playing instead spending it doing more productive things. All right, but last but not least, everybody, our last panelist for today as a principal in sports school. I would like to know the difference of real sport versus e-sport. Madam Amira, the screen is yours.
All right. First of all, thank you, moderator, for giving me a chance to speak up my opinion regarding the topic. So right now, I would like to highlight a point to the audiences that, as far as I know, esport is not fitted into the exact definition of real sport, or we can refer to it as the physical sport. And by referring to the Oxford Dictionary itself, this sport has been well explained as an activity that involves physical exertion, and skills that someone, whether individually or maybe in teams, competes against each other. While esport, I can recognize it as a skill, but it will never become a sport. And it has been proven that esport somehow acknowledge the reflex action and the muscle movement from the players that maybe in a glimpse that we can call it as an exercise of physical movement that can be determined as a sport. But for me, it still doesn't have enough physical coordination to be recognized as a sport, as stated and supported by the article written by Burton, Hornan, and Governor from a student society of McGill University. So beside that, between these two fields, which is the real sport, the physical sport, and also the e-sport field, I'm very sure that we can see that each one of them has different objectives to be achieved when playing the sports. First of all, the real sport, or we can refer to it again as a physical sport, for sure is aiming to encourage people to be healthy and by actively doing physical movements. While the esport field is played mainly for entertainment purpose, and also they want to attract a wide spectrum of the spectators. Well, a lot of people, we heard a lot of people have said that esport is a sport because the players in the esport field also must keep on training themselves to become or to enhance their skills, just like the sport athletes. Then how about when we mention about the people that play the instruments or the musical instruments? It also requires the continuous training, but it still doesn't make it at a sport, right? We can clearly see that esport is basically the contrast of the sport, as sports require full body movements and also the coordination. But for esport players, we can see that they tend to only sit in front of their computers with a bag of chips, and for sure it is considered unhealthy. And we can see that it is contracting to the objective when we are playing the real sport or the physical sports. And I guess that's it. What I can say regarding the differences between the sports and esports.
Excuse me, Ms. Amira. I would like to ask you, I mean, since you are surrounded with the young generation of students, they're in a sports school, of course. I would like to ask you, can you explain a little bit about esports' effect on students, especially in their academic study? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Iman, for the question. First of all, we need to clear our view that even for an average students that barely joins the co-curricular activities outside of their classes, some of them still have issues to keep maintaining the grades in exams and also when doing the homeworks every day. So the idea or the plan of introducing the esports club in school towards the student is kind of worrying me actually because I'm very of us and it includes me as well. We still have feel it hard to control our own addiction towards the video games or any video reality, or we call it as the VR games when they are played for the continuous periods of time. Then introduce and invite those youngsters in schools to join the esport club as part of the option as co-curricular activities. Even when we, which are the official sports school, are still struggling to ensure our students at least individuals to balance their studies in the daily life. And I'm really worried about the idea of expanding the idea of the esport club at such an early age because I'm sure that most of them will be trying to take advantage of it. And can we talk about the teachers' struggle too? This group, which is the teachers, somehow needs them to be able to distinguish those who are really committed about the field, which is want to pursue their passion and also their professions in the future, and from those who are not or just playing around in the esports club in the meantime. And what other things that make me worried regarding the relationship between the athletes in the esports club in the future, as they will be facing with the too much screen time concern after they decide to join the esports club. The survey once conducted for 1928 Norwegian adolescents aged 13 to 17 years old. It shows a result that the video games, or now we can relate it to the esport, are associated with the depression. First, the second one is the lower academic achievement, and also the last one, and the communicative skills. And don't you worry about it, Dr. Iman. And last but not least, for sure it requires such a high cost to train the students from the early stage, and it could cause the time management, the teachers' time management and also the students too, in between balancing these two fields, which are the academic and also the non-academic matters. I guess that's it. Back to you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Amira. E-sport is not sport. It can be skill, but not a physical movement like a sport. Online games don't need physical activities, and that will make you unhealthy, like Dr. Ayman said. Sitting for hours playing in front of the computer will make your body weak. All right, so as a conclusion, finally, to summarize our forum today, the basic mentioning of electronic sport or e-sport as a form of sports is insurgent according to public health and media discussion. As a matter of fact, the two practices are considered to be oppositional. All in all, this forum to discuss and analyze about the e-sport. The reasoning will also prediction the future of competitive in electronic sports such as mobile phone, computer and all the gadgets. Big thanks to all panelists for joining our forum today and also to all audience for sticking with us till the end. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our forum. Hopefully, the discussion will be beneficial for everybody. Thank you for attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and have a great day.